Hi and welcome back to my channel. I'm Simon and today I'm back with my November book haul. So some of the books that I got sent by publishers in the last month, some books that I was gifted, although now that I say that they're technically for work, and lots of lovely books that I lovingly bought for myself during the last month. Well, actually technically last month, because this will be going live on December the 1st. So happy December to you all. And on that note, a little bit of admin before we get to these books. I will be doing Vlogmas this year. However, it's not going to be a video every day. It's going to be every Sunday from now until just after Christmas. And they will be vlogs of sorts. So you're going to be getting a doing the tree, well, it's called Christmas Trees and Christmas Reads video. That'll be coming to you next Sunday. Then the week after, you'll be getting a vlog of a mini break that I'm going to be going on, a festive-ish mini break that I'm going to be going on later this coming week. And then the week after that, I can't quite decide whether you'll get like a vlog of everything that's gone on up to that point, or whether you're going to get a read with me by the tree video. Do they count as vlogs? I'm not sure, but I like them. Anyway, that's the sort of plan. But over on Patreon, you will also be getting Vlogmas Extra, which, yeah, the gift that keeps on giving. So to say that this will, I think, be my penultimate haul of the year. I don't tend to get many books for Christmas or anything. That said, on the trip away coming up, I know there's some absolutely corking bookshops, so I may fall foul, but I may include whatever I haul in the vlog of that mini break. So anyway, nearly 2 minutes in, haven't held up a book. Let's change that. So first of all, two books that I have shown on the channel before. However, I got, well, these aren't finished editions, they're like updated proofs. The first of those is Universality by Natasha Brown, still with the gorgeous gold. I have read this. It is absolutely brilliant. I had the pleasure of interviewing Natasha at the start of this month, along with, well, another author I'm about to mention, plus Emma McBride, Fiona Scarlett, and Sarah Hall. Very big fan of this book. I think it does some really exciting things. It starts with the theft of a gold bar, and I won't say any more. I also won't be saying any more about this when I do. And many of you have been asking, Simon, when's your next wrap-up happening? There will be one coming later this week. However, it's kind of going to be an autumn highlights from September, October and November, because I did quite a few videos on individual books that I was reading. I read quite a few for work. There's a couple that I'm going to reread again for next year for work. So yeah, I think it's going to be like a recent reads highlight, basically. So you won't hear me talk about that in this one, even though this is stupendously good, as is The Boyhood of Cain by Michael Amherst, who was one of the other of the 5 authors that I interviewed for the Faber Showcase back at the beginning of November. This is set in a school, so it's kind of got a kind of dark academia vibe to it, as well as this sort of real cat and mouseness to it. It's also about coming of age, and it's about class and all sorts, and I thought this was fab, and this is what the final finished cover will look like, although this is a proof. I should say this is out in February, and this is out in March. So we have those. Then on to books that I haven't shown you on the channel before, first of which was very kindly sent to me from the lovely folk at Rough Trade Books, and this is All of This Unreal Time. It's very short. I think it's been adapted from a play. I'm just intrigued. I'm definitely going to head to this very soon. I still haven't read Max Porter's Shy, and I really should. And I think I've been shy of it because he's an author that I really love. And so invariably I get super duper excited about the books and then promptly don't read them for ages. Now, I had no idea that this was coming out until a couple of weeks ago, and I did not think that I would get sent a proof of it. So I'm thrilled that I have been, because I absolutely loved this author's debut novel. I think I've read one more of their books, and then maybe have 1 or 2 that I've not read yet, but this is Shams by Micah Ziervogel, and if you read her incredibly hard-hitting and quite difficult but absolutely stupendously done novel Magda, you will know that she is incredible. She's so concise and to the point and can make you feel all the feelings so deftly. It's just a wonder. I have no idea what this is about. I don't want to know, because as many of you who've been around here for a while will know, I'm a contrary fairy, and I like to know very little before I go into books, particularly books by authors I have enjoyed before, and so that is the case with this one. Then all I know about this next book is that, one, it'll look So there's two things that I know about this book. One, it will look very, very different when it comes out in its final edition. And two, I believe this is about what it is like to be queer in India. I think in contemporary India now, but also in the past. It's Deviance by Santanu Bhattacharya, and I have meant to read his debut novel. I want to say it was called One Small Voice, and I have not got around to it yet, so I'm like, oh, maybe that's one to try and squeeze in before the end of the year, along with many, many others. I don't know about you, but when I saw that 100 notable books that the New York Times did, it gave me like a plethora of books that I wanted to read. Well, 12 that I had, and also 8 that I didn't, although I managed to grab 1 or 2 of them. So anyway, yeah, Deviance, very, very excited for this, out in February. Now, another book I'm super, super excited about for next year is The South by Tash Orr, a radiant novel of longing that blooms between two boys over the course of one summer about family, desire and what we inherit. I'm very, very excited for this. I love the fact that this is absolutely giving Brat Summer in winter, well, practically winter, autumn, let's say. How have I done that? I love autumn. I should never mention the W word until at least Betwixtmas. I feel like I want to head, I'm not going to say that queer fiction is something that I've purposefully headed away from or shied away from, but it's something that I don't head to as often. However, because I read a lot of it when I was getting back into the swing of reading in my mid-20s after having not for several years. But I do feel like I would like to read a lot more queer stories from around the world. So that is something that I'm intending to do, and this shall be one of them. I didn't say that this is also out in February, so that was very naughty of me, but it did give me a reason to bend down and sort those books out. That's not a euphemism. From the lovely folk at Faber, I asked for this, and they very kindly sent me it. It is Barbara Kingsolver's Holding the Line. This was her first book. It's non-fiction, but this is the first time that it's been published here in the UK. And I wanted to squeeze it in for Non-Fiction November. Have I done that? No, I haven't. I haven't done very well with Non-Fiction November. I have had what has been quite a tricky slump, and I'm hoping the magic of December the 1st and my short story advent calendar, which I should have included in this haul because I did buy this last month and I don't have it handy. It's up by my bedside in readiness for opening. I think that that's hopefully going to help give me a bit of a nudge out of what has been a bit of a slump. So anyway, back to Barbara Kingsolver. I'm looking forward to this one. They also sent me Unsolicited, and this title I think is brilliant because it makes you want to say something very different. It's Muckle Flugger by Michael Pedersen, and this is a novel set on an island, and it says, night after night, the lighthouse tears its silhouette into the horizon, taking the gloaming to task for the sins it's covering over. The same stars that reflect dreamily in Muckle Flugger's window panes are those that send ships spinning in circles until the sea's ready to claim them and all life on board. I am so intrigued for this. This is out in May. I cannot wait to get to this. I have a feeling, I'm going to put it out there, this could be one of my favourite books of next year. I am very, very excited for this one and thrilled that it arrived. Now, this is one of the books that I said I didn't have that was on the 100 notable books of 2024 according to the New York Times, and it's Someone Like Us by Dinau Mengistu, and I have wanted to read Dinau's work since they won the Guardian First Book Award and have just not got around to it. I thought this sounded really interesting. The cover in the UK for once is better than a cover from America. I mean, imagine. The only bit that puts me off is that it's somebody searching for a new life in Paris, which sounds to me a tiny bit pretentious. I won't lie, but that's also me making huge assumptions and probably being a little bit judgmental. But yeah, I'm intrigued to go on the journey with this. As always, if you've read any of these books and you love them, let me know in the comments down below. If you've not loved them, I was going to say if you've not read them and loved them, that wouldn't be possible. If you've not loved them but you have read them, hold fire, let's talk about that once I have read them. The last 2 from publishers came from the same publisher and were both books that I very cheekily asked for, as firstly, Mum has really, really made me want to read this next book, and then I saw that Ferdia Lennon also has raved about it recently. I think he wrote about it on a blog on Waterstones. It is England Is Mine by Nicholas Pedamzi, and I have a feeling this is going to be one of Mum's favourite books of the year, and that gets me quite excited. I have realised as we get older, our tastes, or maybe as I get older, our tastes are aligning more and more. I mean, there are still books that we feel completely polar opposite about, but there are also certain ones that we just are like so on it with. And I feel like that's been more noticeable as we've done the prediction videos for prizes, be it the Booker or the Women's Prize. And this is a case where I remember that she raved about it. I can't remember all the ins and outs, and that's good because that means I'm going in, you guessed it, without knowing very much about it, and that is something that I enjoy very much indeed. The other book that I asked for was the third and final of Attica Locke's Highway. I want to say 43, but I don't think that's right.
It's probably not what I'm saying here now, and I should have looked that up beforehand, ultimately, but it's...
I have absolutely loved the two before this. I think Attica Locke writes absolutely incredible crime fiction that looks at so many big social themes, but also can be really powerfully political with a little p. Sometimes with a big p too. Although this is one of those weird ones where I'm excited to read it, I can't wait to tell you about it, but how am I going to tell you about it if it's the third in the series? I did have a real realisation the other day that I think I've stopped reading as many series as I used to because they're really hard to talk about on the channel. And actually, that's going to be the case with two books in my
Autumn Recent Reads.
wrap up.
I'm going to call it a video.
That's for them. Let's all move on. Now, next is a pile of books that I said were gifts, and they technically are because they have arrived here and been gifted. I have not paid for them, but they are for work. All of these for my first event in 2025. And I still can't quite believe this is happening on the 28th of January for the next Women's Prize Book Club with Sarah Waters. Now, we'll predominantly be talking about Fingersmith, which, believe it or not, I have not read. I know, it shocks me too. I have tried several times, but every time I said that I'm going to read it, someone has told me a spoiler or given a really big clue about a twist. And if any of you do that in the comments down below, I will wish you the worst Christmas ever. There, I put it out there. I've tried to read this over so many Christmases and not got read, or it's been spoiled for me. And please, 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 please don't. But I'm very, very, very excited to be talking to Sarah about this. We'll also be talking about her other novels that have been up for the Women's Prize, which include, The Night Watch, which I have read and loved. Oh, that's a bit reflective. I really, really love these covers. I love them. The Little Stranger, her particularly spooky dooky one. The Paying Guests, about, you guessed it, tenants in a house. And then, Affinity, I don't think it has been up for the Women's Prize, but I have read this. This is my first Sarah Waters. Set in a Victorian prison. And also, Tipping the Velvet, which I have never read, even though I have seen the TV show, and every time I think about that, I see Anna Chancellor just saying,
"You exquisite little tart."
And I have thought about getting a t-shirt that says exquisite little tart on it, but I am wondering whether the Women's Prize would be happy with me wearing that for the live event that's also going to be streamed. It's live at Storyhouse and then streamed on the interweb. This is going to be my Patreon book club's pick for February. So if you want to join in, you can. It's down below along with my Instagram, my Blue Sky, my wish list, all those things. Christmas is coming. What a lovely set of books to get. I am a lucky so and so. On to books that I bought myself in the last month. These first two books I got when I went to Queerlit in Manchester earlier in November. Months, what are they? First of which is What I Know About You by Eric Chakor, and this is translated by Pablo Strauss. Now, I have a confession to make about this. I have the proof of this book. It's not a particularly attractive proof, it's just the print on the cover. I love the image on the cover. I think that's a really gorgeous image, as I just said. Anyway, I was like, I should really read the book first. However, when I was in Quillet and I saw it, I had Ben Reedsgood on my shoulder like a naughty little imp saying, get the finished copy, because he had very recently recommended this to me in the comments. And I do love getting book recommendations in the comments below, so feel free to add some more. I also got Cuckoo by Gretchen Felker Martin. I do have one of Gretchen's other books on my shelves. I can't remember the name of it.
Is it going to be mentioned in here? I don't know. No.
I've got a real itch at the moment to scratch in terms of horror and really unsettling. I feel like winter well, I'm going to do a whole video on the books that I want to head to in winter, but one of the things that I think I really want this winter is to be deeply unsettled. There's also something I want on the polar opposite end of the spectrum of emotions that I would like for the winter. But yeah, one of the things is to be unsettled, and I've heard this is a fantastic monster novel. The next 4 books I got in West Kirby Bookshop. Now, the first of them I didn't buy, and that's because I was asked by Jordan and Dan if I would host Jonathan Coe. His new novel is The Proof of My Innocence. And I said, oh yes, that'd be lovely, because I was already due to interview him later on in November. So I thought, well, why not do both? And I asked the publisher for the book to arrive. Still hasn't. But thankfully, Jordan had a spare proof. And so I went and picked up the proof of My Innocence there. This is a satire on cozy crime novels, but also dark academia and autofiction, and it's done brilliantly. And I will be talking about this in my next wrap up. As I will, can you believe this? I've actually read some books that I have got recently. Wow. Slight spoiler, I thought this book was utterly phenomenal. It's Alan Bennett's Killing Time. It's set in an old people's home during COVID. It is both so naughty and so heartbreaking. And yeah, I really love this. I'm not going to be doing a gift guide video. I don't think I've ever done one actually, but this would make the perfect stocking filler. So there we are. Then we have The Fate of Mary Rose by Caroline Blackwood. And this sounds really sinister and creepy. On the back, the sort of, what do you call that? It's not a blurb, is it? That's sort of a teaser. It's almost like a blurb trailer. But it says she was dead even before I became aware of her existence. And it's about a child who's abducted in a small, sleepy Kent village. And apparently what follows is this really claustrophobic novel that looks at that. And this has recently been republished after quite a while of not being in print. And I love it. I love the pair on the cover. I also picked up Mean Boys, A Personal History by Jeffrey Mack. And these are essays that Jeffrey has written. Essays in memoir?
Memoir essays. I don't know what the right term for that is, but they're essays about his life written by him.
And I have read this. I will say it's a bit hit and miss for me, but we'll talk about that in my next wrap up when it comes later this week. I hadn't seen that anywhere before, and that's what I do love. Every time I go to West Kirby Bookshop, there'll be stuff there that I just haven't heard of. The next 2 books I picked up at House of Books and Friends in Manchester when I was back for that second event with Jonathan Coe, because one was at West Kirby Bookshop and one was at Waterstones Deansgate. I picked up Bear Season by Gemma Fairclough. This sounds really creepy. It's about a woman who goes missing now. Is it in the Alaskan wilderness? And the police assume it is, well, they think they found the perpetrator of her disappearance. However, an essay that she writes suddenly comes out online and everybody starts to rethink everyone. Everybody starts to rethink everyone. Everyone starts to rethink everything. And I think this gets really twisty and turny, but also is about wilderness and I'm guessing possibly a bear. And then I also got a book that I swore I was going to read in November because it's Remember, which refers to Remember, the 5th of November, by Ellie Macrae. And this is a historical novel set in 1770 and looks at slavery in the UK at that time and how a young woman tries to do something quite drastic in order to stop, I think, a particular ship, maybe. Anyway, I think it's riffing off Guy Fawkes, and that to me sounds super duper intriguing. But this could be one again that I could get to before the year is through. I said I did an event in Manchester, in Waterstones Deansgate in Manchester, and I did, and I was quite naughty and bought 4 books there. The first of which is the only Samantha Harvey book that I have not read, All Is Song. I thought I had this on my shelves, but I've looked everywhere and can't find it. So yeah, fabulous autumnal cover that. I'm going to sneeze. Ugh. I'm going to do a author spotlight video on Samantha Harvey once I have read this, because I've read every other book that she has written Big fan, huge. Also picked up Isaac by Curtis Garner, which is a queer coming of age novel. I think it's about a relationship between two men with quite a big age difference, and I think this has a sinister twist to it too. So yeah, very intrigued for this. Out from Verso Books. I do like that cover. Yes, I do. And actually, we've got another monotone cover here, which is Forbidden Colours by Yukio Mishima. And the lovely Nathan of Nathan's Nook and I are going to be reading this. Well, we were meant to be reading it in December together, but we've postponed it to February. And so, yeah, that's when it'll be, Forbidden February. So looking forward to get to this. I've wanted to read more of his work. I have to say that the font in this, it's not my favourite. I've wanted to read more of his work ever since I read, is it The Sailor Who Fell from the Sky? I read that years ago. Again, it's almost like a theme going on. Is this a vibe for winter? Maybe. And we have the wonderful Deborah Levy's latest non-fiction, The Position of Spoon and Other Intimacies. Very excited for this. Signed copy, couldn't say no. I'm loving this slightly more subtle pink than we've seen in publishing with this black and white cover. What is it with me and black and white covers at the moment? I don't know, something's going on there. It's like a new thing. And actually we're about to go to grey again because I was very lucky to be invited to see Francesca Bowman from Persephone Books talk at the Reader Organisation in Liverpool. And after her brilliant talk and having a lovely catch up with her too, how can I not leave without a Persephone book? In fact, I left with two, but one is a Christmas present, so I can't show you it. But the one that I picked up for myself is The Call by Edith Ayrton Zangwill. What an amazing surname. It's number 129, and it has an introduction, or is it a preface, by Elizabeth Day. I should show you the end paper, shouldn't I? Because that's what Persephone Books are partly famous for, apart from the wonderful grey covers. And the event was so brilliant. Francesca was talking about why they chose this colour. She was talking about how they pick the end papers, how they decide how they decide which of their books become classics, and how they then find the pictures for those covers. And it also really reminded me, it had been ages since I've read a Persephone. I have such a love for Persephone, which my gran actually introduced me to Persephone books. And I was talking with Francesca about how I used to go to the one in Lamb's Conduit Street, and Nicola, her mum, who set up Persephone Books, used to let me go into the basement and get ones that were a little bit scuffed. But also the fact that I had, in the past, been planning to do I called it the Persephone Project, and read all of them in order. Seeing Francesca talk has ignited something, and I'm hoping to get back to Persephone's a lot more often. I'm going to think about how I can do that and what way I can do it, and if you've any suggestions of any content around that you'd like to see, because actually one thing that me and Francesca were saying we may well do is a video in the new year together at the shop, because I'm planning on going to Bath early 2025. So yeah, it was such a great event. So good. Now, the next 4 books were all really hard to get hold in any of the bookshops that I went to. And so I ordered them all off of Blackwell's. Through Blackwell's. Did I say they were all queer? They are. They're all queer. Very queer. The first of those is Ripcord, a novel by Nate Lippens, and this is from Pilot Press, and I did very nearly order this from the publisher. However, I've had a bit of a rough time with ordering directly from some indie publishers recently, and so I was a little bit wary. Plus, the postage was absolutely astronomical. Very happy to have this. I have got Nate Lippens' My Dead book on the shelf, so I feel like, do I need to read that one first before this one, or do I head to his newest one? Why do I do that? It's like I almost have to create little rules for myself with reading. It's ridiculous. The next 3 are all poetry collections. The first of which is Real Boys by Thomas Stewart. Queer poems, that's all I know, all I need to know. I love me some queer poetry. The next one I thought was a novel when I first saw the cover, and thought, oh my God, that looks like the most savage, that looks like the most Simon Savage book ever. And it still does, but it's poetry, not a novel. It's Strange Husbandry. I mean, look at that cover. That is so good. That sort of sums up what I want to read this winter. There's something so unsettling, and also I feel like I'm about to have a bit of a historical fiction phase. But yeah, anyway, this is poetry, as I have said several times now that I'm really looking forward to, by Lorcan Black. So this is Ossia by Seo Jin Min, and this is an incredible read, and I'll talk more about the pros and cons of its incredibility when I talk about it in my wrap-up, because I have read it, as half of it is in English and then half of it is in Korean. And yeah, I found this incredibly powerful to read, and then even more so when I watched him reading on YouTube. I found an event that he'd done, and there was just something about the way he will drift in and out of English, well, drift out of English into Korean and then back into English, that's just so gorgeous. Thought this was fab. Spoiler. Then on to 3 books that I ordered import editions of. The first of those, now do I want to talk about this book because it might give away. Then, mentioning Nathan Snook again, he's made me desperate to read this. This is Rejection by Tony Tulathimuta, and he just said that this was phenomenal, and that was all that my
Trigger, order and import, copy, finger.
No.
That's all that my order and import.
I can't even do this. And that's all I needed to know, basically. Before ordering it, I'd done it. And then the same thing happened with the wonderful Biblio Sophie. She was talking about Vivian by Emily Russo, and it had happened again. I'd ordered an import version because it sounded so good. I have read this one, and I will be talking about this in my next wrap-up. I haven't read this one yet, but I'm going to read it pretty imminently because it was one of the books that was on that aforementioned list of 100 notable books of 2024 by the New York Times. We're nearly there. I have quite the admission to make with this one because I bought
A little trickier, no. So, I have quite the, because I bought a little trickier, no, I can't even say it. I bought a
Little Trickery by Rosanna Pike. I was way into the book slump that I was having, and I was looking on the shelves and just thinking there is nothing here I want to read, which is so ridiculous because there are so many books in this room. And I'm not saying that as a bad thing. I see all the books on my shelves as all the journeys that I've got ahead in my reading life, and that excites me. It's just sometimes you need to cull them and switch them around and stuff because your tastes change, etc. And that's another thing that I really want to look at next year. Anyway, I'm digressing because I don't want to admit that I did this. I basically was like, I have nothing to read on my shelves. And that wasn't true, but I had seen Ferdia Lennon mention this along with England Is Mine in the blog that he did for Waterstone, and it had just stayed with me in my brain. It is set in Tudor England, but a very different Tudor England than we're used to hearing about. It's often all about Queen Elizabeth I or Henry VIII, and very much London focused. This is much more rural. I am really enjoying it, but I started it, then travelled and didn't want to take it around with me because it was a hardback and blah, blah, blah. And so it sort of lingered. So I think one of the things that I need to do with the first week of December is there are a few books that I started and didn't finish this year that I would really, really, really like to get to. I feel like I've just given myself a themed reading blog to make for Patreon, quite possibly. I was really, 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 really enjoying it, but I just picked it up at the wrong time and then my reading just got really, really bitty. Next book I started and then put down for a bit. Now that wasn't because it wasn't the right book for me, it was because it made me cry. I found the first few chapters so emotive and then so haunting and powerful and then so pretty much soul destroying. I just had to have a bit of a breather from it, but I do really want to get back to it. This is another of the books that was on the New York Times 100 most notable books of 2024 list that I didn't have, but then managed to get at, oh no, I'm going to lose my place if I show you this, but anyway, Hatchets last week, where I ended up buying 4 books. In fact, no, I didn't, that's not true. I bought 3 and then I got 1 in a bookshop on the way back, so I need to move those around. But I got them all in London when I was there earlier this week. What's the book that made me cry? It is Black River by Nilanjana Roy, and this is a crime novel set in India. I knew this was going to be about the murder of a child, but the way, and I think it shows how powerful only like that far in Nilanjana's writing is, it just got me, and it's making me feel quite upset now, but I do really, 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 really want to carry on reading this. It hasn't put me off. It was just incredibly powerful. It just got me. So yeah, but this is going to be probably the next book that I read along with this. The next 3 books are very Christmassy. The first of those, and the first of the final 2 that I bought at Hatchard's, is Murder at Holly House by Denzil Mayrick. I have seen this in the supermarket quite a few times. In fact, I saw it in hardback last year. I think it was at Harris & Harris, and I was so tempted then. I decided not to. Then I kept seeing it in supermarkets and thinking, oh, go on, I could treat myself, but I know that supermarkets aren't the best place to buy books because it isn't great for the author. I mean, they sell a lot more, but they don't get as much money because they're highly discounted. Let's not go into that right now. I really want to get to this. I feel like a festive mystery will be just the thing at some point. I've just spotted on the back a man's feet coming out of the chimney. That almost made me, well, it did make me internally guffaw, but you couldn't see because quite often my face doesn't show that I'm as happy or laughy as I am inside. The other one I got, and this was a bit of a random pick really, it's The Party by Tessa Hadley. And I have tried Tessa Hadley before and not been 100% sure, but I thought something really short and something festive that I can curl up with and escape from the party of people that are coming to mind for Christmas, if only for an hour or so, well, why not? And so I did. Then, the last book that I got this month was at the British Library because I picked up Dramatic Murder, A Lost Christmas Murder Mystery by Elizabeth Anthony, and this is this year's
British Library Crime Classic Christmas book. No.
British Library Crime Christmas Classic. Every year they have one. I think it's the...
What's the one where the train gets stuck in the snow? Mystery in the Snow?
That one I absolutely loved and have read quite a few over the years since. I'm excited for this. A Lost Christmas Murder Mystery. I mean, what's not to love? And it's got a lovely tree on the front. So there we are. That was quite the haul. I didn't think that was going to take quite as long as it did. So I hope you had a beverage for the journey that we just went on. Although maybe I'll have edited it down to something much more manageable. Hopefully for you I have. As always, I'd love to know if you've read any of these and if you loved them or really liked them, let me know in the comments down below. If you didn't love them or didn't really like them, don't let me know that now. Let me know that in due course because I'm excited about all of these books and I'm happy to have a chat with you about the good, the bad, the indifferent and everything else once I've read any of them. So yeah, I hope you're all doing super duper well. Happy December. Happy Vlogmas to come. Like I said, my Patreon, Instagram, Blue Sky, wishlist, all those things are down below. And I will see you in another video very, very soon. Thank you for watching. I hope you're reading something fab. And yeah, bye.